Safety Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. Well, we hope you had a wonderful weekend. The weather's certainly a little gloomy one of the days, right? But everything else looking very well the entire weekend. Looking to a pretty hot week coming up. Pretty hot week around here, too. We're going to start it off today talking about, well, how about this? Byline on some of the materials I received from this gentleman states, and I think many would agree, diets don't work. At least in terms of being able to lose weight and keeping it off, it appears that very rarely is ever accomplished. Of course, the answer, how about this? One out of 3 women and 1 out of 4 men are on diets at any given time. And there's a corollary to that statement. 2/3 of the dieters regain the lost weight within 1 year, and virtually all regain it within 5 years. But why is that? Well, the author of a book entitled Sustainable Weight Loss is going to be our guest today. His name is Dr. Lee Waller. We're going to be talking about what you actually need to do to sustain that weight loss and follow the book that he's written for us. We'll be spending that time with him today. If in the course of our discussion with Dr. Waller, you'd like to call in to ask a question or make a comment, that number, of course, will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Now, other things coming up. I hope you enjoyed the David Brownstein show. It certainly had been a while since we had that for a topic, that being the discussion about salt. And the fact that there's pretty much a salt-scared generation out there. We're all a part of it. I hope we've been able to shake off most of the fallacies concerning it, because in fact, of course the title of the book that we discussed on Friday, Salt Your Way to Health, means just that. The division, of course, is between refined versus unrefined. But even at that, the study I quoted you from just last week certainly was talking about refined salt, that regular white stuff that sits on the tables of every restaurant in the country. You know, the stuff from Morton's, the stuff with or without iodine, that stuff, that is refined salt, 68 minerals taken out of it, leaving you with a couple, sodium and chlorine, and a couple of really nasty things besides that are as preservatives. So the subject of a unrefined salt really is the complete health picture when it comes to providing you with the minerals you need every day and having, and I'm repeating this, no detrimental effect. There are few folks, very few, who do have tremendous reactions to salt. They know who they are. It's not something that be caught by surprise there. If you have that as part of your physical makeup, then you're very much well aware of it, and you're not going to be caught off guard. But if you have no awareness of any problems with respect to the consumption of salt, then you're not in that category, and you need to have every bit of salt that you can muster. Salt, food to taste. We're going to be picking up with Dr. David Brownstein. Of course, we didn't complete nearly half of what we always like to complete with him, as we do with so many guests, and he's very nicely consented to return to us. He can't come in August. He's going to do some family vacation time, so let me tell you this. He won't be back till September 16th to talk about part 2 of Salting Your Way to Health. But you can you can contain yourself until then. We'll finish off that topic about salting your way to health at that time. Up and coming, Wednesday, we're going to have Alan Ridgway with us. Alan, of course, is the distributor of a number of products, majority of which have to do with the diabetic. That's certainly how we met and how we brought him to you initially on our show. Since then, we've learned some other neat things that he distributes, and by virtue of that, we end up distributing, too, a interesting dressing for wounds, RTD dressings, now gaining success and popularity throughout the country. We brought you that topic. Anybody who has difficulty with any wound healing, as diabetics would, so it was a perfect product for Alan to be associated with because there is a diabetic connection between poor wound healing and the condition of diabetes. So if there's ever a group of people that would benefit from these kinds of specialized dressings, it would be the diabetic. You need to have one in your medicine cabinet so as to be able to use it if you ever do get injured and cut yourself and have a wound that needs to be healed. The other products that he's, of course, very familiar with, you're very familiar with, the shoes. He fits all of our diabetics with those orthopedic shoes and provides them with the diabetic supplies. A new product he is launching here on Wednesday is a product for those who have muscular aches and pains. This product's called Simply Freeze. I understand it is a adjunct or corollary to another product out there right now called BioFreeze. Anyway, for a while at least, we're going to be the sole distributor of this product. We'll launch it on Wednesday with you. Up and coming. By the end of the week, I'm going to be returning to New Jersey, not to the other shore, which I would love to do, but back to a town in the middle of New Jersey I'd never heard of before called Millville. What's in Millville? Well, a unique company called Body Bio, and the owner of that company is none other than Mr. Edward Kane. He's been on our show talking about all sorts of products that he makes, as well as an approach to treatment of diseases developed by his wife, Patricia Kane. You may have heard me discuss these very famous PK protocols, PK Patricia Kane. Anyway, I had been attending a conference last month down there, and I'm returning this month, and I'm the one that brought that message to you. We've heard it come up a number of times by callers that are chomping at the bit to get some confirmation and some additional information regarding a statement that I made upon my return from the last conference. The statement went something like this. How about this? Fish oils can be hazardous to your health. Can you imagine the little warning on the cigarette pack having to be placed on the bottle of the fish oils that you may be taking? And look, I've been a big proponent of the, and we all have, of the avocation of using fish oils to replace fatty acids. And I heard upon, just before I got tossed the radio show today, a large commercial, which as I was listening to it, I went, oh my God, about 80% of what I heard there is probably I'll leave it there, questionable. I mean, anytime that you hear somebody say omega-3s are good and omega-6s are bad, and that's what I heard on this commercial, that infomercial that was going on, that one from the get-go is just a highly incorrect statement. There's no such thing as omega-3s being good and omega-6s being bad. You need them both. In fact, it's a little sort of poke behind the scenes as to how it can be that fish oils can be hazardous to your health. It is an overabundance of omega-3s. That's the problem. It's all omega-3s, no omega-6s, and what is now known, and I promise I'll bring you Mr. Edward Kane on our show before the month is up. I'm going to be visiting with him this week, as I told you, and you may be waiting to hear when he's going to be as a guest of the show. I'm going to take my schedule book. We're going to have him a couple of times before the month is up. He can best explain the science behind, and there truly is science behind, why it is that fish oils are hazardous to your health. And maybe you should have that same little warning on them that the cigarette pack holds. What we now know is through the work of a Dr. Yehuda, a Japanese scientist, and science is winning the day here, folks. We have to go with the science. We have to use the science when it's available. But what we now know is it takes a blending of omega-6s to omega-3s in a certain proportionality. That proportionality is 4-to-1. 4 parts of omega-6 to 1 part omega-3. In fact, it even goes further than that, which is why fish oils are a problem. They even lay out which of the omega-6s you should be taking. Shorter chain carbon atoms and of these compounds, rather than very long chain carbons. Very long chains, as a matter of fact, when it comes to the fish oils and arachidonic acid, which is one of the main components of the fish oil. Nonetheless, a 4-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. The omega-6 that is recommended is linoleic acid, represented in the vegetable world by primrose oil. And in the omega-3 categories is 4-to-1 of omega-6 to omega-3. Alpha-linolenic acid, which in the plant world is flaxseed oil, 4-to-1. That's the ratio. Science has determined it. Anytime you disturb that ratio, you're taking the body out of balance, and there are hazardous consequences to doing that, especially if fish oils are to be used. So I guess maybe I'll bring it to a conclusion now, but after I heard the infomercial before they tossed it to me this morning, and like I say, about 80% of what I was listening to flies in the face of what is now scientifically known, I just had to get it off my chest, and so there it is. I've done it. Enough said about it. All right. Let's do this. Let's take a short break. In the interim period, I'll go find our guest today, Dr. Lee Waller. Diets don't work, so says Dr. Waller. And he's figured out why they don't work, and he's going to tell you how it is that you can make your diet work by sustaining the weight loss that you achieve. Be right back in a moment with Dr. Waller. See you then.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry, I've got to go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit is unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit is a unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, much Western for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. right here in KHP 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Monday version of the show. Pretty hot week coming up, if you know what I mean. Topic's going to be hot today, too. It's a topic that, unfortunately, way too many of us have availed ourselves of weight loss issues based on our consumption of foods over time. And maybe we've uttered the phrase that's the byline for what we're going to be discussing today, which is diets don't work. Or at least so says the author of a book to maybe turn that problem around. That author is one who's with us today. The title of his book, Sustainable Weight Loss. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You can lose the stuff, but you keep putting it back on. Well, our guest today is going to be giving you some hints as to how that can be avoided, can be completely canceled out. His name is Dr. Lee Waller. He's our featured guest today. Let's say good morning and welcome to our show, Dr. Waller.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Dr. Waller, you have, I think marketing-wise, you have someone advising you well, or on your own you came up with it. You have a phrase that catches the ear of everyone when you say, well, first, diets don't work. That's probably a negative way to capture somebody's attention. But when you say, hey, I can tell you how you can sustain that weight loss, now you really got me, and you got most of our listeners today. It was a stroke of genius to market this in this way, because the ear is ready to capture some advice, some help for we out here who have been challenged through weight loss issues, if you know what I mean, Dr. Waller.
Well, I don't want to be negative on diets because they are an important piece, but there are several other pieces that work hand in hand. The problem with the diet, as you just pointed out, the reason they don't work is we are very unlikely to sustain the diet once we're on it and have lost the weight. As soon as we stop the diet, we return to our old eating pattern. And the weight comes back, and oftentimes more comes back. So we need something beyond just diet.
We're going to get into that, but I think your background is so interesting. Let's spend a moment on it. You are a naturopathic physician now. You work in the state of Illinois, someplace called Wheeling, Illinois. Am I right?
It's the suburb of Chicago.
It's a suburb of Chicago. Your past, however, in terms of your previous accomplishments, very interesting. You got a business background. You got 1 degree in mechanical engineering, personnel, business, an MA in business management. Also, you're a lawyer. Would you have arguments with your doctor and a lawyer? Do you have arguments with yourself? And if you do, who wins these arguments? I'm interested. The combination is very unique, is it not?
It's kind of crazy. It's just follow your instincts at the time, and over the years, it led me through all those paths. At this point, it's really, I'm passionate about holistic health care and weight loss especially.
Well, certainly it is a storied past in terms of how varied your past is, but you bring all that to the table now. All of your previous professions end up benefiting you based on the experiences you had within them. But then you moved into the realm of alternative medicine, naturopathic medicine. What took you down that final pathway? What took you down that final turn that brings you to the station in life where you are today?
Well, it's kind of interesting. It wasn't any crisis in my life, and it wasn't any major weight problem. It was just me looking in the mirror saying, I want to sustain as long as I can, as healthy as I can, and live as well as I can. What will that take? Led me in the direction that I went.
Well, this brings you to us today, a topic, as I say, that captures the ear of everyone. Let's see what kind of facts we can put behind this to take individuals from just the curiosity point of view to really wanting to delve into this, because I'm sure 80% of the people, well, tell me, how many people out there have a weight loss problem? I bet you're knowing statistically how prevalent a problem this is. Let's take with the American population. I think we're the worst of all the societies and cultures in the world. We're probably in the worst shape. Would that be a fair statement?
I think that's pretty close to fair. All the data presented points in the direction that about 60% of Americans are overweight, and a third of those are obese. That points to a real problem.
60%. And so in that 60%, the vast majority of those folks, myself included, have taken on this challenge of losing weight multiple times. This what's called yo-yo, up and down, the thing that all of us have undergone over a lifetime. By the way, have you had weight issues yourself?
No, I haven't. Frankly, I've never been more than 10 pounds heavy.
Oh, you're the fellow in the room that just kills us. All right.
But when I get 10 pounds too heavy, that puts me in the overweight category, and I want to drop it, keep it where it is.
Oh, so you watch your weight like a hawk, and you set yourself a 10-pound swing, huh? The moment you hit 9, you're right on it, and you bring yourself right back.
I don't even do that. I'm more neurotic than that. I set a much smaller swing, like plus or minus 2 or 3 pounds, but I'm not neurotic about that. In reality, I just do the right things. I weigh myself in the gym every other day, and I see where I am, and I know that through my exercise program and through the nutrition program that I'm on, hormone balance that I watch, it's not a big project for me. It stays where I want it.
Well, there's a countless number of books out there. You just walk into any bookstore, which, by the way, they're getting more difficult to walk into, are they not?
Sure are.
Big companies are starting to go away. Barnes & Noble and you name it. But there's many books that are available on the subject of weight loss. What differentiates your book, Sustainable Weight Loss, from all those other books? Because I got a feeling you get a different message than they do.
Well, it's fairly simple. You pick up a book that's written by anybody that's a personal trainer or a physical therapist. It's all about exercise. Buy the nutritionist's book or the dietitian's book. Their slant is, their belief is everything's about diet. The reality is those are both real narrow focus. We have, to answer your question, what differentiates my book is I include chapters on diet, on nutrition, on exercise, on psychological problems, on hormone balance, on motivation, on genetics. All of those play a role. We have to touch all of those points if we want to be successful. So there are a number of things that differentiate this book, that being one. The other being this book is based on an enormous amount of research. I didn't want my readers to feel like I sat in front of my computer and dreamed this stuff up. This book is based on, there are about 1,100 citations in it of research papers and books researched for this particular book. The other thing that makes this very unique is I took the last chapter, which is the how-to chapter, and blew it up into a completely separate but available companion workbook. That, to me, is one of the most important tools because it walks you through step by step how to get where you want to go.
So this book is actually two. The book itself and then a workbook to help somebody work through a weight loss program following what hopefully the book itself taught them on the front end and allowing them to achieve the results that they hope to be able to on the back end by using your workbook.
Well, the truth is, the workbook is just the last chapter. It's blown up with a little more dialogue, but the book itself has everything the person needs to know. It has the how-to in the last chapter. So the person that were to buy the book could work it themselves. It's just not quite as convenient in a paperback-sized book with forms to fill out and so on. Much more convenient in an 8.5 by 11 spiral bound that you can lay down and there are lines to write and so on. That was the reason behind the work. But it's not like something was left out of the book. The book is totally complete by itself.
Well, I certainly do like the idea as a person of science that you went to find the science and you have a bibliography of over 1,000 references, which is very unique for those weight loss books, which is usually somebody just sat down and plucked it out from what their own personal experiences have been, and there's been no science behind it, or very little. So you're to be commended to follow science, and I'm anxious to see the references that you made and how you pulled this story together because you approach it from so many different aspects. Let's take this first component, which I think is unique. I've heard it before, but I'm guessing the science keeps pointing in this direction. You say that researchers recommend no more than a 1 to 2 pound weight loss per week. Now, that flies in the face of everything I see in my checkout line at my local supermarket, which you just pick a number. Is it 10 pounds in a week? Is it 40 pounds in a month? You'll find a book that claims to be able to get you there, and I'll bet you it actually can get you there. I really do think they're probably accurate from that perspective. But science says 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week. Is that right?
Right. If you lose gross amounts of weight, like we see on some of the TV shows, that's possible. But on some of those shows, the people are tied up 6 or 7 hours a day. Their meals are prepared for them. They spend 5 hours a day in the gym, and in reality, none of the rest of us do that. And the question still comes back, is it sustainable? The answer generally is it's not sustainable because they go back to their old eating habits. Massive weight loss have big problems for a number of reasons. You'll lose a lot of water up front, which may or may not be good. If you're carrying a lot of excess water, that would be good. But, okay, that's where some of the big weight loss comes early on. The bigger problem comes in with muscle loss. If you're not careful, your diet and your exercise routine, the muscle loss will happen rather than muscle gain or muscle maintenance. Another problem with heavy doses of weight loss is we can become vitamin deficient in a big hurry. Another problem is you can upset the balance of the hormones. That's a bad thing. If we take too much weight, along with the weight loss, if we take a lot of protein loss, people have been known to lose their hair, to have loose skin, to have depression, insomnia, menorrhea in women. So the list goes on and on of the negative big weight loss. Best way, and science bears out, 1 to 2 pounds a week. I know for somebody that wants to lose 100 pounds, that doesn't sound real encouraging. It took 12, 13, 14 months to get sustainable weight loss. You got where you wanted to go, and were able to hold on to it the rest of your life. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I think the hidden message is there. If somebody really does need to lose 100 pounds, that particular issue is completely a pathological process gone awry to even get to that point. And unfortunately, I'm guessing that a lot of folks, that if it's not 100 pounds, it's certainly in excess of 40 and 50 pounds, which is pretty much the same category as I see it, don't you?
Well, yes, it's a difficult one. I generally take the approach, based on what I've seen in this research, that if you're a man over 100, more than 100 pounds overweight, or a woman over 75 pounds overweight, there's usually an underlying psychological condition. It could be a bad relationship, bad marriage, or you just broke up with a relationship broke up, or you lost a loved one, or you're under a particular stress with a job situation, or no job. Those issues all play greatly into weight gain and weight loss. So my suggestion is for folks that are in that category, the best place to start, in my estimation, is to find a psychologist that you can work with that may help you work through those particular problems, and then start into a real true weight loss diet regime, exercise regime, and so on.
Never ever heard of anybody doing it just that way. Is it something that you find, you're near Chicago, a pretty big metropolitan area. I'm going to guess you're no different than where we are here in Pittsburgh, in that people, the psychological issues probably are never really broached by anybody. They'll go lose the weight and they'll put it right back on, and whatever psychological motivations led them to put on the weight, it ultimately comes back to bite them again, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Our model, of course, here is Oprah. She's had several shows where she's very open about her yo-yo weight, up and down dieting, up and down weight loss, and she's also adamant about the psychological problems she's had from childhood sexual abuse. It's no secret. I mean, I'm not telling any secrets. She's said it on her shows, and that probably is still one of some of the difficulties.
Really good point there. Really good point. And I can understand why the Oprah reference being in Chicago. What about, I'm guessing you're finding a lot in the literature about some genetic predisposition. Could you briefly speak about those issues? Because I don't think that really plays in terms of the general population looking so far into this that they feel, well, they can't do a thing because they have genetically. Well, tell me. Does the intellect that I can't do anything about it because that's just my genetics, or do you say with these predispositions we have to be aware of them in order to do what?
Well, my research showed that genetics, of course, does definitely play a role, but the role is quite a bit smaller than we often. We can look at our parents and say they were heavy, and grandparents maybe, or aunts and uncles were a little heavy, so I'm definitely heavy, but that's really not true. What's true is genetics play a role, but probably not more than a 15% role. What we do with that 15%, we can change the terrain, or the research likes to talk about the environment. Environment is our diet, our sedentary situation, our psychological problems, our hormone imbalances, the stress that we're under. All of those things play a part in it and can, in effect, work to defeat a good bit of the genetics. Now, I'm not going to say that we just completely cancel out the genetics, but we can go a long, long way in fighting the genetic predisposition that we might not like so well.
What about this phrase that I've certainly heard mentioned many times? Oh well, I have I'm big boned structure. Is that the genetic predisposition you're talking about? Is that phrase a fallacy? Is there some accuracy to it, being big boned versus small boned, if you know what I mean?
Well, in the book I talk about research done by a Shelton. Comes out of the 1940s, where he categorized people by 3 body types: ectomorphic, mesomorphic. I mean, those are fancy words for. The first one is the lean person who doesn't gain weight very easily at all.
That's the mesomorph.
That's the ectomorph, yeah.
The ectomorph, the thin one.
Mesomorph, middle, is one that's got the body type, a little bit of exercise, that they develop real athletic physique quite easily. Weight loss or weight gain is not a big problem. The endomorph, at the other end of the scale, is the person that gains weight easily, loses it with difficulty. They tend to be a little more smooth looking, not that athletic grip look. So we have to look in the mirror and decide which one of these we fall in, so that we can begin to work properly with that determined genetic body type. And if you look around, you can sit in the airport and watch people walk by, and you can pretty much nail it right away quickly. So it's pretty easy to look in the mirror and nail it for ourselves as well. That's an important step. You don't want to be the endomorphic type body that's an easy weight gainer, hard weight loser, and look on TV. If we're a woman, look at TV and say, I want to look like Angelina Jolie. It's not going to happen. We have to be honest with ourselves. What have we got to face it? What have we got to work with? Then attack the situation and discuss it. The idea is we want to become the best we can. I don't want to become somebody else. I can't. So that body type, although a lot of people like to discredit it, something bad, I look at it. It's simple and it works. It still applies.
I don't know. Angelina Jolie probably wishes she looked like. She's lost so much weight. She looks like a mere shell. Do you know what I'm saying when I look at her anymore?
Well, I don't watch.
Something's going on there.
I hear a lot of women. I want to be trimmed down and trim. Well, I don't want to become anorexic. I don't. But again, if I don't have the body type, be that lean, real trim, then I better look at what I've got. We can all make it.
All right. So up to now, I'm talking about body types and amounts of weight that you want to program yourself to be losing. That thing about losing 1 or 2 pounds. Very few people are thinking that way. Maybe it's do these groups like Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig, don't they isn't that really in pursuance of these moderate, minimal amounts of weight loss over some time? and maybe that's that very way of looking at this that makes them more successful. I see Jennifer Hudson commercials now. She's out there singing and tap dancing, looking wonderful. Her outlook has completely changed on life. She looks outstanding, and she follows a Weight Watchers approach. So talk to me a bit about these commonsensical approaches that have been out there for quite some time, and what do you think of them? Give me your own opinion about them.
Well, I look at Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Seattle Sutton, and the rest of them, and they all have merit. What it is they'll prepare the food you ought to be eating, and they'll balance the diet out. In effect, they're trying to mirror what I say in the book is my rule of thirds, where we look at our plate, and if 2/3 of that plate is vegetables, the rest can be whatever you want. It can be a little meat, a little pasta, a little whatever. You're not going to go wrong. That's basically what they do. The good thing that they do is they balance out this weight or this calorie intake situation and nutrition to help the individual get going. But the game really is they're trying to teach you what you should be doing. So if you're eating that diet and you're learning from them, once you decide, gee, I've lost the weight, I'm going to get off my diet. You leave the diet. Of course, the diets are a little pricey as well, so people are eager to get off those diets. But once they get off those diets, they don't stay with what they should have learned. They go back to their old eating pattern. Bang, on comes the weight again. I have dear friends that have all done those diets. They've all had success. Looked great. Took all kinds of weight off. They stopped the diet. Back the weight comes.
All right.
So they're good. They have their place if used properly in an overall program. Now, this could, if you're an older person, and I say older, I can say that, being older, you're over 50 or 55 and your hormones are starting to go out of whack, even on the diet, you're going to struggle. Look at the whole package.
All right, let's do this, Dr. Waller. Let's take a short break. When we come back, let's move to the other side of this, which we haven't spoken much of, but it appears to me like you've got a lot to say, and that is on the physical activity side. So why don't we take a short break? When we return, right off the bat, we're going to let folks know from you how it is they can get this book, what the the internet ways, telephone numbers, anything you have to offer. Be back in a moment, continuing with Dr. Waller with sustainable weight loss. See you on our return.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health here on a Monday morning, return from the weekend version of our show. In anticipation of a topic that I think, well, in the promotion of it, we knew for a couple of weeks now Dr. Waller is going to be visiting us. The topic certainly had a ring to me. I hope it is helping you focus in on your weight issues. The gentleman has written a book entitled Sustainable Weight Loss, The Definitive Guide to Maintaining a Healthy Body Weight. His name is Dr. Lee Waller. He's a naturopathic physician. Dr. Waller, you still there with us, my friend?
I am.
Why don't we take this moment to allow our listeners to find out how they can get a copy of this book. Any information you want to give now, go right ahead. Whether that's website information, phone number information, go. You're on.
Well, there are two easy ways to get the book. One is to go to my website. It's called sustainableweightloss.net. Click on the link right on the home page, take you to the publisher, and you can order the book directly, or it's on Amazon. So on Amazon.com and look it up and get it there. Ways to get the book.
Okay. No 800 phone numbers for them to follow in case.
No, these are the easier ways.
All right, so be it. Got to do it through the computer, folks, or go. I'm going to guess this is probably at the bookstores too, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh no.
It just came out, and it's basically Amazon handling it.
Okay, you got to get to a computer, folks, to get this book. It may be worth the effort if you don't happen to have it. And by the way, if you don't have a computer now, why not? Maybe that's my better question. All right, so we talked so much about the intake side, which you're putting in your mouth. The other part of the equation, which it looks like your history and your own curriculum vitae certainly is highly skilled in these areas. Weight management coach, American Council of Exercise, personal trainer. You certainly have done and have shown that you've done a lot of work in the physical area. Tell us about how you feel this must fit into a weight loss program to make it sustainable.
Well, the big problem today is we've become sedentary, much more sedentary than our grandparents. They all work in factories or on the farms or whatever. And today we sit in front of computers, we work in offices, we work in a manufacturing environment, we stand in front of a machine. But we've become very sedentary, and it's absolutely detrimental to weight loss. We have to have this exercise. Now, I like to make the distinction. A lot of the research talks about, like, if you were to look up some of the project or some of the research studies that are cited in the book in the exercise chapter, you'll see them talking about physical activity. And I just frankly think there's a big distinction in my mind between physical activity and exercise. A lot of physical activity doesn't rise to the level of exercise. There's very little. For example, you're one of these people who gets up on Saturday morning and I'm going to go play my round of golf. I need the exercise. I look in the mirror and I'm a little heavy. When you go out and play your round of golf, generally you'll ride the cart.
I was going to say, with a cart.
Yep. And when you're done, you'll drink a couple of beers and have a hamburger. Probably would have been better off staying home. That is not going to cut it. It doesn't rise to the level of exercise. Exercise generally, in my mind, especially cardio, walking a treadmill, doing an elliptic machine, riding a stationary bike or a regular bicycle, you have to understand where your heart rate is, how to get your heart rate up, how to get your heart rate up. The idea is let's just do something that looks like exercise, but really isn't. You're not going to get the benefit. Another good example. The doctor often tells you, start walking, start walking. If you're incapacitated to where you're a heart patient recovering from heart surgery and you need to go to the wall and fall and walk around, or you're real heavy and you can't do much exercise, walking's just fine to get you over that initial hump to the point where you can start exercising. But walking, in my estimation, is a life event like breathing, not an exercise unless you're getting your heart rate up. So you need a heart rate monitor to understand where your heart rate is. So when the doctor says go for a walk, that might be nice to walk around in the park on a bright sunny day and enjoy the birds singing, and the environment is wonderful, and psychologically it's just very uplifting. But think you're getting enough exercise Probably not. Yes, again, really hone in on the exercise aspect.
Now, when you ask people to follow their heart rates and get a monitor, are they supposed to take themselves up to maximum heart rate, which is the same for just about everybody, 150, 160-ish, and then do they stay up at that level, or how do you follow the heart rate approach? Which you say you got to get the heart rate up. So what level do you want to take it to, and then what intervals do you have to back off in order to let it drop down to recover completely, not completely? Share with me some of your thoughts on that you can put in capsulized form.
Well, generally, you certainly don't want, unless you're very athletic, maybe a runner or a swimmer or whatever, unless you're extremely athletic, you do not want to go for 100% heart rate. Probably optimum is around 70 to 80%. And for good heart and lung stimulation, you only need to do that for 20 minutes. Now, if you're trying to lose weight, obviously, if you can go longer, burn more calories. So that's an advantage. Excuse me. But it is certainly not a disadvantage to start out at 40, 50% of heart rate and slowly work your way up. Now, the thing that makes it a lot easier is if you go to a normal fitness center that's got modern equipment, they've all got a heart rate monitor on them. It's built in. You don't have to have a heart rate monitor. You can just grab the grips on the treadmill and it'll read your heart rate. The other thing is our heart rates aren't all the same. They're age dependent. Normally on those same machines there's a little plate that tells you pick out your age, little man and a woman, and it'll tell you usually what 60% of maximum heart rate is, or VO2 max if you will, and what 80% VO2 max is, so you know exactly what the heart rate is right then and there. You look right at it. The book also shows a simple calculation. I know it's been debunked a number of times over the years by people that want to get more precise, but it still works wonderfully. It's the number 220 minus your age generally puts you in the ballpark for what your maximum heart rate is, or should be. And then if you take 80% of that, or 60 or 40 or whatever it is, you'll get right. The heart rate should be at.
Real important, you say, to get that heart rate up to that 60-70% range at a minimum. And I don't know how long you keep it there. Do you sustain it? Do you do intervals where you let it drop down, or would you want it sustained? Because you use the word cardio, which in my mind indicates you want a sustained level of 60% of maximum heart rate. Do I interpret it correctly, or am I incorrect?
Well, not really. You can vary it. That's not a problem. That's fine too. You can drop it down a little bit. You can get your heart rate up for 20 minutes, drop it down for 5 minutes or so, take it back up, or do some kind of interval. You don't have to go clear back. Say you were at 80% for 20 minutes, you dropped it down to something that you decided was like a little mini rest, then you jacked it back up. Maybe you didn't go to 80%. You can vary it. None of that. There's not one better way than another. You can do what's comfortable. Now, if you're at a lower heart rate, like a 60% of VO2 max, you can go a lot longer. So if you're on the treadmill and you're walking to lose weight, you maybe walk for 45 minutes or an hour. Not a problem. You probably won't tire yourself out, and it's not likely that you're going to hurt your ankles or knees or hips or anything like that. So you can do what works best for you, but the idea is get the heart rate up and burn calories.
All right, enough said. You can see, folks, the guide in the book's got to tell you and help you in this issue about how to take the heart rate up, how long to leave it up there, and following some formulas that I think you must have there, Doctor. I think the book might very well clear this up in a way that we're not going to be able to. Let's talk about another item that I'm interested in, because as I read it, I think our listeners would like to know. What foods are banned in your weight loss method? I didn't know you had banned foods, but if you do, what are they?
Well, basically, I don't have bans. There are some, of course, that are nice to minimize. In sustainable weight loss, in the workbook, I've listed a complete list of foods to be minimized, and they include foods with excess sugar, excess fat, and excess carbs. I don't like excess anything, and I don't like, I hate the words low-carb diet, low-fat diet. That's no good either. It's all about balance. So I've listed some foods to kind of minimize. For example, high sugar foods, cookies, cake, pie, those things that you kind of need to minimize. I don't say you have to get rid of them. In the workbook and in the book, I have nothing more than a single sheet called the Calorie Consumption Diary for people to write down their daily intake of what they've eaten and what they've had to drink. After a week or so of doing that, almost everybody can take a look at that and look at this pattern, see areas that they should be making improvement in. It doesn't take a nutritionist to tell you that if you eat 6 cookies before you go to bed every night, that might be kind of a cool thing to cut down. Cut it to 2. Cut it out. Yeah. But I certainly wouldn't want this, for me personally, I don't want this to become such an onerous task that nobody can do it. It's got to work. So again, eat by my rule of thirds. Look at what you're about to eat. Look at your plate. 2/3 fruits and vegetables, preferably vegetables during the meal. If it's 2/3 vegetables, 1/3 something else, good. You eat it. If you're hungry, do it again. You're going to have such a large vegetable intake, which is the goal, and you'll be lowering your intake of other foods that would tend to make you gain weight. That you eat by my rule of thirds. It's simple. You don't have to count calories. I don't want to count calories. I don't want to get a calculator and start doing it. I don't want to write in a book. I don't want to have to do any of that stuff. Too complicated people won't do it. Look at what you're about to eat. Make sure it fits the rule of thirds. That will make the lunch of a burger and French fries Coke. That'll make that lunch difficult.
The rule of thirds sounds like an interesting approach. Sort of a common sense approach. Once you get it, you won't have to do anything with a pencil or pen. You won't have to write a doggone thing down. Looks like to me.
That's right.
You mentioned and you mentioned it already a couple of times, and now elaborate if you would just a bit on the role that hormones play in weight loss, and I guess with women postmenopausal versus premenopausal, and with men andropause, I'm guessing. So what are the role that these hormones play?
Well, we've got about 125 neuropeptide hormones that all have some effect on weight loss. Some of the big ones. Here are the things that happen as we age. We get 55, 60 years old. Generally, both men and women, blood tests would reveal that the growth hormone level starts to deteriorate, which is not a good thing. In men, testosterone level starts to deteriorate. Women, estrogen level deteriorates. When those things deteriorate,
You got a button over there, my friend. No shit. All right, let's do this. Just one more time. I try to get back to the station. So we've got 2 minutes left, all right? Hey. Now he had a storm come through out there.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
I got it. Okay.
KHB reminds you, children are naturally curious, so follow their lead. When you
Wallace.
talk to your child, you
Hey,
build vocabulary. Learn
That
starts
happens
before school does. For more tips, go to boardlearning.org.
At Nature's Way Market, they know that eating the right foods can make a great improvement in your health, especially if you have food allergies. That's why they stock a large selection of food for people with special diets, whether it's dairy-free, casein-free, or gluten-free. They have many options at Nature's Way Market. If special dietary requirements are new for you, the experienced staff at Nature's Way can be very helpful. You'll be amazed at the variety of choices available to you at Nature's Way Market. Visit them while Pam's cooking every Saturday from 11 to 3, from simple to exotic, and always good for you.
Okay.
Nature's Way Market, corner of Highland and Mount Pleasant in Greensburg. Your complete health food store. Nature's Way, Greensburg. Phone 724-836-3524. That's Nature's Way Market.
Manchester Farms is a small family